Hi everyone, this is Michelle Smansky. I am Academic Advisor for the undergraduate program, Material Science and Engineering here at Virginia Tech. With us, we have Tim, Allison, and Liz. They're going to be answering your questions after we watch this short video. Let's go, Anna.
Hi everyone, my name is Anna and today I'm going to give you an overview of the Material Science and Engineering department here at Virginia Tech. So I am a junior here in the department and I have a minor also in green engineering. So today basically I'm just going to go over our curriculum and what career opportunities you can get from Virginia Tech. So the materials engineering curriculum is very broad, but it's focused around 4 core materials: metals, polymers, ceramics, and electronic materials. So the way our curriculum works is you take a class in each of those materials, and then once you figure out what you like, you can choose the rest of your classes based on that. So those are the 4 main classes that everyone takes, but then you have to fulfill a certain amount of technical electives after that, and you can choose from nanomaterials classes, biomaterials, nuclear materials, composites, powders, glasses. You can choose any type of material after that, or you can stick with one of those 4. So that's kind of how we take a really broad curriculum and condense it down so that everyone gets a good basic education on the 4 core materials, and then you can just choose your path. So within studying those materials, we learn about the properties and the structure of each of them. So these are really important in knowing about materials so that you can choose what they're supposed to do. So knowing how to select the appropriate material for any application is very important, and we can't do that unless we know the properties and the structure of each and what those mean. So learning all this complex stuff about materials is really, really awesome and really great to get lectured about, but you can only really apply it in a lab. So that being said, our materials department is one of the most hands-on engineering departments at Virginia Tech. From the time that you begin your material science education, like from your first semester in the major, you are in a lab, and then you are in a lab for every semester after that. So that's something that really, really enhances your education and is a great way to apply what you learn in the classroom outside of the classroom. So we're studying the different strengths and weaknesses of certain materials, and then next day in lab, we're applying that, we're testing that, we're seeing if the theoretical strengths of something is the same as what we get in the lab. So this is a really awesome way to kind of just support and boost the learning that you're doing in the classroom with hands-on learning. So that being said, we also have a really unique thing here at Virginia Tech. We have a foundry on campus. So a foundry is where you go to learn about metallurgy, and you get to actually pour molten metal. You get to learn about the properties and how to quench metal and things like that. So that's a super, super unique opportunity. Not a lot of campuses or departments can say that they have that, and another great way to get involved with hands-on learning. Obviously, this is a super broad major because everything ever is made of materials, which means you can get into pretty much any industry. You can do design, you can do aerospace, automotive, you can work with biomaterials, you can go straight into metallurgy, you can work in defense, you can work in manufacturing, you can work in semiconductors. Literally, the list is endless because, like I said, everything around you is made of materials. So this is really cool and a great way to just get perspective on something that you're passionate about and what direction you can take it. The opportunities are endless. So a story we usually like to tell to kind of enhance that is about football. So in 2007, the Virginia Tech football team made it to the ACC championship, and our star running back before the game, Cedric Hume, he broke his arm, and he wasn't going to be able to play in the game because a typical cast is ruled as a weapon by the NCAA. So the football team approached the materials engineering department and asked us to create a cast that wouldn't be considered a weapon, but that would still protect our running back's arm. So obviously the engineers pulled through, they made a cast, and it got cleared by the NCAA. So Cedric Hume played in the game, and the football team won the 2007 ACC championship. So we like to say that materials engineers also win football games, but that's just an example of a way that your passion can be a part of your career. And then a little bit about our other hands-on opportunities. We have 3 design teams housed under the department, and then materials engineers can get involved in any other design team. But one that I'm a part of is the ceramic disc team. So we make a disc out of any ceramic and we bring it to a competition every year, and then it competes in an aesthetic competition and a disc golf competition. So here's a little piece of our disc from last year. This actually took first place in the aesthetic competition and the disc golf competition. So we're really proud of that, but it's just a cool way to be able to take what I learned in ceramics class and ceramics lab and make it into something physical that we can go compete with. So again, another cool way to get involved with hands-on activities. And then some of the work that I've done, I've had 2 internships with GE Aviation working on composites. So the whole goal of my job the past 2 summers has been to help them create composite ceramic parts that are replacing metals in plane engines. So that's been super cool, definitely applying all my knowledge that I've gotten from the classroom there.
We're going to go now and answer some of your questions. If you guys can type your questions in, they will populate for us. And our panelists here, Tim, Liz, and Allison, will take turns answering your questions. So while we wait for a question to pop up, I will ask Tim to share with us about his senior design experience.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, pretty much all engineering disciplines at Virginia Tech have a senior design project, which is a project that goes through the entire course of your senior year, and you basically conduct research of some kind in some area. So for example, mine is in creating a nanocomposite. So we're using a type of polymer, which is you can think of as a plastic, and then we are adding this really cool, really small reinforcing materials to it to make it stronger. And the project is really interesting because there is no published literature on this composite. So we're basically, as far as we are aware, the first ones to do it. So like we're actually doing real hands-on stuff that can contribute to the general knowledge base of the field. So that's an incredible opportunity that I've been able to have here.
Okay. A question from Tim Frazier. Is co-op part of the curriculum? Anyone? Liz, would you like to respond?
Yeah, sure. So co-op is not technically part of our curriculum. However, the way our classes are structured, you can actually take as many co-op or internship opportunities. I worked 3 internships. So the 3 summers I was at Virginia Tech, I worked for 3 different companies, which I would recommend if you don't want to take time off of school to do a co-op. Though I do have a friend of ours, mine and Allison's, did 2 co-ops and she's an overachiever, but it is possible. Not necessarily directly part of the curriculum, but I like to say MSc is a do-it-yourself kind of major, choose your own path. So it depends on how you want to schedule your classes and arrange your things, which Michelle is really good about helping you with.
Thank you. Jillian is asking, what companies have you guys worked for? Allison, can you field that, or do you feel comfortable fielding that question?
Yeah, so I think we all 3 of us have worked internships. I worked for Collins Aerospace for 2 summers. I worked in their additive manufacturing lab, so if you've heard of 3D printing. So it was really cool to be kind of in a big aerospace company, but then also be in their like materials focused department. So that was really cool and really great experience. So yeah, highly recommend doing internships. You learn a lot.
Yeah, I this past summer I had an internship with a company out in California. Their name is Lighter Than Air. They're like a big startup basically, and they're creating modern airships. So like the Hindenburg, that kind of thing. That's what we were making. And that was a really cool experience, doing some really cool work for an up and coming company.
And that's where materials are important, because how do you make something that's light and yet still going to float in the air?
Mm-hmm.
Sorcery.
So I want to follow up on this question of where people work. We have had alumni work in every industry, from Yankee Candle all the way to NASA. So everywhere and in anything in between where they're making something, they need a material scientist to help you design and select the materials to use to make the product. So material scientists are always going to be in high demand. All right, so we don't have any other questions waiting. You guys, please ask questions. We're here to answer your questions.
I think we have another question in the chat.
We do have a question in the chat. And that actually, I'm going to defer Keegan Ross to contact the registrar's office and the bursar's office. He's asking what's the average cost for a person taking materials engineering. We're not here to, and I'm not in the position to answer financial questions about those type of things. As far as, are there any additional costs associated with taking it outside of your tuition? No, there are not. You have your standard tuition bill and your lab fees are done through that. We do have another question pop up. Jillian is asking, do you guys have any favorite professors?
That's not a loaded question at all.
Yes, they do. And Liz, why don't you start us off and tell us about your favorite people?
No comment.
So one of the great things about being in a smaller major, like MSc, I think I have about 70 people in my graduating class, is you can develop relationships with your professors over the 3 years that you're in the department. So it's not like you're going to have one professor one time for all your classes the entire time you're at Tech. Like I've had, multiple professors multiple times, and I've been able to work with them and have conversations with them in and outside of the classroom. So it's more than just a, can you help me on this homework kind of relationship. You can really build a rapport with them and get to know them. So it is easy to have a favorite MSc professor, I think, which is a cool thing to have.
I'm not going to name names, but I actually did call my senior design advisor professor last night because I needed some help choosing between two job opportunities because unfortunately I got caught in the COVID hiring freeze. So the companies are just now starting back intaking people. So I called him last night, and 2 hours later we finally hung up the phone. So, oops.
Yeah,
Alice?
We're small and you get to know people pretty well, which is I really, really enjoy.
Yeah. I work to make sure that the largest class size is about 70, and that's your intro classes. But most of the other classes are 40 or less, and that gives you a great learning opportunity to get to know your classmates and your faculty and share experiences. And I think I will say Dr. Corcoran is a lot of people's favorites, and he's just a basic down to earth guy. Allison, you did some undergrad research while you were here. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so I did undergraduate research starting my junior year. And the way I kind of got involved with it was I was really interested in the research that my professor was doing. And so I had her as a professor for a class, and I literally just after class one day went up and was like, hey, I'm really interested in your research. Can we talk about it? And I might be interested in joining your research group. And then by next semester, I was in her lab on my own research project. Like my own project. And then that transitioned because now I'm actually a graduate student and I'm still working with that professor. So undergrad research is very easy to get involved with in our department, like I said. So.
Yep. So Jillian has asked another question. What percentage of classes are labs versus lecture?
So it's not. It's difficult to answer a percentage exactly, but I've been in a lab every single semester that I've been at Virginia Tech, which is great. It's great to have that hands-on experience and learn some tangible skills that you can put on your resume and actually use in the industry once you graduate. So I think most people have a lab just about every semester in MSc, and that is not the case for most engineering disciplines, I believe. I don't know that for sure, but I think it's safe to say that you will most likely get more lab experience in MSc than any other engineering department.
So there are 4 required classes, like Anna said. There are 2 basic required labs, and how many credits worth of technical electives do you have to take, Michelle? Like I did all of them with undergrad.
Average is about 12.
Yeah. So you can choose to take, with those leftover credits, you can choose to take either labs or lectures or both. Again, it's a do-it-yourself major. Choose your own adventure. Create your own destruction.
Not destruction.
Sorry, create your own headache.
Extracurricular activities. Anyone want to comment on extracurricular activities that you had while being material science and engineering at Virginia Tech?
Do them. Find things to do other than school.
Yes.
Things that they do in school.
It's really important to find a school life balance. Not that I was very good at this, but in theory, it is good to find a school life balance. So Virginia Tech has a really active, how do you say? There's club sports, there's fraternities, extracurricular activities. There's literally anything you can ever ask for. If you're interested in rocketry, or you're interested in cars, or you're interested in kendo, there is something there for you. And it's really about how much time you want to spend on it, because you can very easily forget about school and go do fun things, but that's not really what you're supposed to be doing. So,
Yeah, I played Quidditch.
yes,
and I'm still on the Quidditch team, so you can definitely do like sports and other things and still be very active with school and stuff. So, yeah. Because what do you always recommend, Michelle? It's like, it's the get involved with like one kind of like academic related, one kind of non-academic related, and pursue leadership.
Correct.
Both of those.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there rugby at Virginia Tech? Yes, there is.
Yeah.
So from what Allison was saying, yes, I encourage everyone to do something personal and something professional and take a leadership role in each of those, because you have to demonstrate to employers that you are a leader, and you can't do that if you're in 20 different clubs. We have a question. What kind of software do MSE have access to? Allison, you want to field that one, please?
I don't know, like, so there's a couple of pieces of specific software. Most of ours deal with like materials database. So like we have a database that you can go and look up any material like property or something that you might need. But we also have some of the normal ones, your MATLAB, your programming, kind of access to that. And then we deal a little bit with like modeling, like how like heat transfers through a material or stuff like that. So I'd say that's kind of stuff. If you guys know any other ones that I haven't used.
I mean, Virginia Tech gives you access to a lot of programs as a student, and the part of being a student, you can get access to like NX or modeling softwares for free as a student. So there's that. Do we want to do the next question? Because I'll take that one.
Sure, go for it.
So the question is, if one was to major in a different area of engineering, would you recommend a minor in materials? Honestly, I'd recommend it the other way around, because material science is such a basic thing that it would really be beneficial for you to start in materials and then go to a different material as your grad class. I'm sorry, I'm shaking my computer. I'll stop doing that. And then as opposed to starting in a different major and then trying to come into materials, because as Anna said, literally everything ever is made of materials, and to better understand that is really important. But I mean, it's really up to what you want. Talk with Michelle about that. She's really helpful.
One of the ways I describe this is mechanical engineers design the gears that go together, and they turn the wheel, if you will. We design the gears. Right? Without those gears, and we can also design the gears, but we design the materials that go into the gears so that it doesn't overheat, doesn't freeze, and it works efficiently and properly as it's supposed to.
In theory.
In theory. Liz is laughing at me. Okay. Can you tell us about study abroad opportunities and how competitive are they? Anyone want to field that, please?
Yeah, so this is an interesting question because there are a lot of study abroad opportunities at Virginia Tech, and there are several within the MSc department. But it's really up to you to like determine which one you want to do, where you want to go, for what length of time, maybe with what type of professor you want to go with. And I honestly don't have a good answer for how competitive they are. Because there are so many opportunities at Tech, you should be able to go on one if you want to.
I would say the competitiveness comes in if it's a selected program like what we used to pair with in Sweden, where they did research in polymers. So if you're into polymers, you would be eligible to go for that. And if there's scholarships available, that's where the competitive nature comes in. But otherwise, if you want to go to Spain, go to Spain. So the next question, if you didn't like chemistry class, would material science be fun for you? Is it a lot of chemistry?
You are required to take the 2 introductory engineering chemistry classes for material science. And there is a chemistry aspect to material science. That being said, I did not like taking chemistry here at Virginia Tech. I do not particularly like chemistry, but I absolutely love material science. If you want to specialize in metals or ceramics, which are 2 of the main classes of materials, you just have to have a basic fundamental understanding of chemistry. But if you want to focus in polymers, which is like plastics and rubbers and things like that, then you will need a significant background in chemistry, because the mechanisms by which polymers move and behave are very based in slightly more advanced chemical processes.
It also depends on what you want to do. So if you want to do research, you're going to need a lot more background and scientific knowledge. If you want to do industry or production, then you are more of quality assurance and problem solving and processing standpoint. So really it depends on how much you need, because it all depends on what you want to do.
But loving or hating chemistry is not necessarily an indicator of what you will like.
Because Tim doesn't like chemistry, but I really like chemistry, so you get both ends of the spectrum.
Exactly.
And this is one area I'll jump in and say real quick that if a student is struggling in one class, I can find someone to help them and tutor them in that class. Because if Allison were still here and Tim was taking chemistry and he was struggling in it, I would pair them and let Allison tutor him along. So that's the great advantage of these smaller departments. So our next question, can MSc be paired with fashion, i.e. shoes or clothing design?
Well, I mean, as far as I know, fashion is more about the aesthetic and engineering is more about the function over aesthetic. So in theory, yes, but
Well, they can. They can. Think about rainproof jackets. Okay.
That's science, not the actual fashion. Are you talking about like a fashion major or like fashion the industry? Because fashion the industry for sure, but
yes,
I want to do a fashion major because that's a lot.
So that's completely different. But go ahead, Tim.
So I think the answer to the question is yes. So there are plenty of people who double major at Virginia Tech. Now, majoring in engineering and another major would be quite difficult, but there are people that do it. And you could just get a pure material science degree and go into the fashion industry. For instance, I know some of my classmates want to go into the cosmetics industry, so they want to develop makeup and stuff. And the material science degree gives them a really good edge on that. And material science in general really allows you to go into almost any field you want. You know, materials are everywhere. Someone's always going to need you.
Thank you for the
So she clarified the question to say more so the materials used in the fashion. So yes, I mean, think about the running shoe. I love to give this example. If anyone runs for a hobby, I don't know why you would, that's just me. How many pairs of running shoes are you going to go through if the running shoe doesn't absorb and respond to the impact of you hitting the ground? So in that regard, yes, Nike, Adidas, Brooks, all of the running shoe companies need material scientists. Focuses in MSc. Actually, we have 3 people here in 3 different areas. Well, no. Mm-hmm. Yay. Liz, tell us about your area of metals.
So I specialized in what Anna was talking about as the foundry. So I like to say I played with fire as my major. Gratuitous flames are always a good thing. For metals, you can go into research, so coming up with the next best combination of metal for armor applications, for the next lightest bike frame.
Do you know how difficult, hard get Virginia Tech recognized AP class dual enrollment?
They're pretty
Okay.
good at it.
I'm hesitant to answer the AP stuff because that changes every year. If your AP scores are typically 4 or 5, yes, those credits will transfer.
I can talk about my experience.
Go for it, Tim.
So I went to a school, a high school pretty close by Virginia Tech, and I think all but maybe one of my college credits transferred over. So I had about 20 credits transferred from high school. I didn't have any problems getting them transferred or everything. And because Virginia Tech allowed me to transfer pretty much all my credits, that has made my life a lot easier. And from my personal experience further, I don't know many people who had a lot of problems with their credits transferring.
Fabulous. Thank you. Allison, tell us about your focus.
My focus is mostly on ceramics. I'm also interested a little bit in additive manufacturing. But with ceramics, the lab I work in, we focus on ultra high temperature ceramics, whose application is on hypersonic vehicles because you really need a good thermal protection system on those systems. So yeah, it's really nice being in a lab, being very hands-on. I have my own personal project that I've been working on since junior year. So yeah, it's very interesting.
Hey, Tim, you're also ceramics. Is that correct?
I am, yeah, ceramics and glass. So I was able to take a specific ceramics and glass lab. There were about 8 people in the class, I think. We did really cool hands-on stuff, and it was a great experience.
Are there any examples of how to major in material science and engineering and focus on the medical field, such as designing biological materials / implants? We actually do have a professor who, Dr. Whittington, who is working on making a new ACL because at the moment we're having issues mimicking the exact material of the body. So the hard connection to the bone and the soft connection to the tendon and then the interface between them, that's a very difficult thing to replicate because it's either too hard for the tendon or too soft for the bone, which creates problems later down the line. So that's something that she's working on. Yes, is the short answer. I gave you the long answer first.
And Virginia Tech also has a biomedical engineering major now. So that might be worth checking out if you're interested.
Wait, there is also a minor. So many of our students do the MSc with the minor in bio. And actually, this is, Tim, a good segue to MEPS because you're going to talk with Stephanie. Stephanie is an MSc alum. She now works for a major medical company that makes medical devices. And I don't think she said implants, but she does make medical devices.
Very cool.
So, yes, MSc is very big in the biological materials and implants. I mean, think about a pacemaker. That's every component that we work with. It's electronic materials, it's metallurgy, it's polymer, and I think there's some ceramics in there too. I'm not 100% sure, and that's placed inside the heart. So we have to select the right materials to use so that it lasts longer. An example would be my knee replacement that I just had. My knee should last 10 to 15 years because of the advancements in material science. Previously, like 5 years ago, the knees only lasted 5 to 10 years. So hopefully this will last me a long time. Oh, another question.
Yes, I'm sold. Yes. That's our job.
You've made Liz's day.
We have.
If you guys have any questions, please feel free to email me, and thank you for coming. Goodbye, everyone.
Best of luck with your endeavors, everybody.